And because this isn't Skype, we're recording instantly. Thank God.
Perfect.
Perfect. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Thrashers Paradise Old School Edition, as I am joined with the mullet shred master of Striker.
Hell yeah.
Tim, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
It's always a pleasure to have a member of Striker on the channel. Second time you're appearing, and the second time is probably the more, I say, eventful one, because you just won the Juno for Hard Rock Metal Album of the Year last night. Big congratulations. And what's that like to win the Juno?
It's great. I mean, we were lucky enough to be nominated in 2018, so we were able to, experience it firsthand. We did not win that one, but yeah, I mean, I guess it's a little, I wouldn't say bittersweet, but I mean, I guess it's been a strange couple of months for everybody around the world. So it's definitely not quite the same as going to actual events, but to have won a Juno is very validating. Obviously, it's Canada's highest musical honor for commercial music, at least. And I mean, we've been in bands and making music for almost 20 years. I think Striker's been around. We had our first album come out in 2010, so it's been a long grind, that's for sure. So it's nice to get some I wouldn't say that we haven't been recognized in the past, but this is like a new level of recognition sort of from the general music industry.
Mm-hmm.
And it's I suppose it's extra significant for us because we're an independent band. And I mean, you look at Juno winners, how many are independent bands? Barely any. I mean, there's maybe, I'd be amazed if there's, I haven't looked. I was going to look actually today just to see how many, but I think even just being nominated, the nominees are maybe, like 5% of the nominees, and then winners even less. So.
And now, my next question is, did the nomination come as a surprise for the band? Because the album did come out back in 2017.
Well, we're always hoping for, getting a Juno nom. That's always the hope. So I wouldn't say it's really a surprise. I guess it's kind of funny. The Play to Win came out at the very end of 2018. So we submitted for Juno in 2018, didn't get nominated. And then due to how the Junos works, you can resubmit if your album came out in the correct time period. It's well over a year. So I think it's like, I don't know what the time frame is, but it's over. I think it's about like 16 months, prior 16 months. So we were eligible again for this year, and so we submitted, and we thought, well, we didn't get nominated last year. Who knows? But might as well, right? So we were very excited to be nominated again. It was especially nice because we didn't want to feel like our last nomination was a fluke or anything. Maybe it was like a bad year and they didn't have any albums to pick from. So it's nice to be nominated twice, and especially, I guess, getting the win. So, but yeah, it was kind of interesting because, like I said, we applied last year, didn't get it, and then this year, the winner. So
yeah,
it just needed time to ferment.
Now, was this the original way you visioned on celebrating the Juno win?
Well, it's not too far from the actual Juno event. I mean, we were lucky enough to have a lot of supporters here in Edmonton, and some of them include Sea Change Brewery, who were nice enough to give us some beer, and we also got some pizza. So we had, good beer, good pizza. I mean, at the Juno Awards, there's a lot more than beer and pizza, but the end result is the same. Wake up with a little bit of a headache. So
now, when the original Juno Award ceremony was planned, you were going to be performing in Saskatoon with Saskatoon band Untimely Demise. How heartbreaking was it to have to cancel that due to the COVID breakout?
That was pretty heartbreaking. We were actually at the jam space packing up to leave when we saw the Twitter announcement that the Junos is canceled, nobody come. And our publicist had already left Montreal because they're a couple hours ahead, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he already left Montreal. He was on a plane to Saskatoon. And we're like, John, don't leave yet. And then, he's already in the air, didn't get the message. And then he lands. And he just had to head straight home because that's basically right at the start of the quarantine season.
Mm-hmm.
That's everything got shut down right about then. So, I mean, we're just glad that nobody got stuck in Saskatoon. But yeah, we were pretty sad because we had all been looking forward to going to the event. The event is really nice because, I mean, as heavy metal musicians, it's not like we're, driving around in Ferraris or anything. We all still work day jobs. It's certainly not a super glamorous lifestyle, but then you go to the Juno Awards and you do feel glamorous. You do feel, for example, when we were at the 2018 awards, it's sponsored by like Jackson Triggs Wine, who sent us a bottle of champagne. So thank you very much, Jackson Triggs. But it's also sponsored by like Steam Whistle Brewery. I think Long McQuaid was a sponsor. Tesla was a sponsor, so you could just get free Tesla rides anywhere. It's like a free taxi, and they just had Teslas everywhere. So they would just like pick you up and drive you around, which was amazing. I mean, like you actually feel like a rock star in those kinds of situations. So we were sort of looking for it's kind of like Christmas for
Mm-hmm.
Canadian musicians, I guess you could call it. So we were looking forward to it a lot, and then when it didn't happen, we were very sad. But whatever, better than everybody dying.
Yeah, no, that just sounds like a hell of a lot of fun. Now keeping up with your Instagram stories from last night, y'all partied hard, and I think there was a sword involved opening a bottle.
Yeah. Our drummer Jono, he's a bartender, so he has experience doing the saber champagne bottle opening, where you take
Okay.
a sword or a giant knife or whatever, and you like slice the cork off. Took a few tries, but we got there. So we didn't have the proper knives, but I did happen to have a set of ninja swords.
Excellent. Now since you did win, has there been any communication with the Juno, I guess, association to try and figure out how you're going to get the award?
Yeah, they emailed us. I guess that was this morning sometime before I woke up. And yeah, they send us congratulations, and they are just going through the process of getting us our statues. I mean, at the actual Juno events, they don't have the actual statues. Maybe they have one, but it's like a prop statue that they give to everybody basically.
Mm-hmm.
And then just because some people might want uh, extra Juno statues for team members. Maybe your manager wants one. Maybe you had a guest musician on your album that wants one. So they just go through a process of, oh, how many do you want? Do you want us to order more for you? And in the end, you gotta pay for some of that stuff. But it's they're a very great organization. They're very professional, nice people. So
Awesome. Now, last week, I think if my dates are correct, on June 24th, you released a in live studio album of a bunch of songs from previous albums. What really inspired the live studio album?
we were sort of in a lull between albums. Play to Win didn't come out. It came out, 2.5 years almost ago. Obviously, all the tours are being canceled. There's nothing really going on. You got to do something.
Mm-hmm.
And we had coincidentally just be making that album right before the COVID lockdown hit. I think the first day in the studio was February 1st. And we just wanted to make some new content, Oh, hello. Did I cut out there for a second?
Nope.
Okay, good. The but yeah, we were just working, wanted to stay fresh, do something interesting, and then sort of as we started working on it, we realized, hey, this sounds pretty good. Maybe we should put it up on Spotify or whatever, and get it actually mixed. Because I think for us, we just wanted to experiment with what a live album would sound like, because we wanted to do a full live album, like at a show. And we were going to be doing a bunch of festivals this summer. Obviously, they've been canceled now, but we wanted to prepare for that and like test out how our rigs work and how that sounds, and test mixing and all this other stuff. So we decided to sort of do a dry run, and then we're like, hey, we can videotape it too. And then it sort of turned into what we released, and it's been a great piece of content. I mean, we're very lucky that we did it when we did it, and now we have something. I mean, you wouldn't be able to really get back in the studio these days. Well, maybe now that things are opening up. But.
Now, for you personally, what was the hardest concert to see get canceled for you?
It was definitely well, we were never specifically announced for this festival, and we're still on for next year, so won't say the name, but we were on for a bunch of big German festivals. That's all I'll say, as well as other festivals all around Europe. So there's a lot of big ones, but you could probably guess.
Yeah. but recently you did announce 4 new Spain performances next August. So
yeah,
were you in the band a bit just like, what's the word I'm looking for? A bit concerned when you were accepting these dates?
Well, when the initial coronavirus, like everybody was very suspicious, I guess is a good word. Everybody was sort of suspicious of the coronavirus spreading and having an impact on shows. I mean, I think the initial Chinese lockdowns were in January or something.
Yeah.
That was correct. And so, a lot of people were concerned that it would spread quickly, and it did. So a lot of booking agents were sort of like, hey, by the way, these might get canceled. We'll have to see how this virus thing pans out. And so the Spanish shows were originally booked for this year, for this summer, and along with our festival. So these were like club shows in between festival dates. So we basically just moved this summer to next summer. So
perfect. Now, is the goal to be that these shows will be happening next year? Do you hope that it is going to happen?
Oh yeah, I certainly hope that it will happen. I mean, I guess it all depends. You look at what's happening in the United States and you think it's never going to reopen. But on the other hand, I mean, if you're in a country like, I don't know, a lot of European places are reopening. I think the entirety of Europe is reopened as of tomorrow to international travel, except for certain places like the United States. So, I mean, we have some offers for United States tours early in 2021, and we're thinking it's like, well, this madness keeps going on down there. They're never going to reopen, at least not for Canadians. We'll never be able to cross the border, and if we did, we'd never be able to get back. So, I mean, I think the hopes of touring in Europe, especially so much later on, make a lot more sense than some of the other things that are going on. But you never know. I mean, who even knows what's going to happen in the United States, especially with like the election and stuff. Yeah, when Donald Trump was elected, we crossed the border on his inauguration day, and I mean, you guys need to get off the streets. So we were driving through like Seattle and stuff, and protests, people going nuts, and so yeah, it's crazy. I mean, look at the Black Lives Matters stuff going on. There's a lot of civil unrest, I would say, in the United States. So I mean, even if the borders were open, I would be cautious about touring these days. I mean, it's tough enough dealing with just regular border guards. I can't imagine, an actual violent police officer kicking my ass or something.
Yeah. No, but with all of this now, I guess freed up time because of the quarantine and coronavirus, has the band started working on the next studio album?
You bet. I mean, we're sort of always writing, so we were writing music well before the lockdown, so it didn't really change too much for us. I would say that with the quarantine lockdowns, like I mentioned earlier, we all have jobs, so we actually all got called in to be essential workers. So we
Oh,
all got way more work time. So we went from sort of being able to sort of do a part-time job and creating some time for music to you know having to work full time because we're essential. So at least for me personally, I had less time, and same with
mhm.
similar other bandmates. They went from part time to full time work just because their business is fired everybody. Well, maybe not fired, but everybody else is staying home. So
Hmm.
that's another thing, though. I mean, being in a band, you got to make money somehow.
Yeah.
Music isn't paying the bills, so you got to, you know,
You gotta do what you gotta do
get
to
up those
thrive.
pennies. Yeah.
Yeah. Could you give us an ETA about when this next studio album could potentially be out?
Well, originally we wanted to have it out on January. Well, I wouldn't say first, but sometime in January. But with the coronavirus lockdowns, I mean, we were going to go record in the States, and I mean, when are we going to be able to cross the border again? I have no idea. So it's certainly thrown everything up in the air, and we're just kind of sitting back because the reality with music these days is you don't make any money off the recorded music. It's all in touring, and with that in mind, you want to release an album and then tour it. And if you can't tour, there's really no reason for releasing an album. So, I mean, my heart goes out to a lot of the other artists who uh, had the misfortune of releasing an album either just before or right when the quarantine hit, because I can see that being a huge hit to a lot of bands. I mean, I read a lot of articles out there about certain bands, maybe they had just got on a plane and then the quarantine starts, especially if you're like a European band coming to the United States. Those visas are non-refundable. You're not getting refunds on your merch. You're not, you can lose hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so we're very lucky that we didn't have anything. We hadn't dropped any money for flights. We were just about to buy flights to Europe when the lockdown started. So it's it could have been worse for us, but we got out relatively unscathed.
Yeah, and speaking of releasing stuff, you did release some brand new pre-orders on your merchandise store. The Grim Shredder, the Cyberwolf, the On the Run, and the Shred 316 shirts. What really brought those up to be created and be put up on the website now?
Well, we had the Shred 316 shirt, which is like a skull made out of guitars, and it says Shred 316 on the back, like Stone Cold Steve Austin. And the On the Run shirt, which is like a T-Rex chasing a Ferrari through space. And we had those shirts on our tour with Steel Panther, and those sold out in like a couple days. So we knew that those were, a hot piece of merch. And we also had merch for upcoming tours. And, you know, it was going to be tour merchandise, but now you can't tour for, well, until who knows. So we decided might as well put it up on our store, see if anybody wants it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been a good response. People have enjoyed the shirts. So that's a good sign. So originally we were going to have those on tour, but can't do that. So we'll just put them on the store.
Yep. Excellent. Now, one last question for you. This is more of a fun question. Now, a lot nowadays you see the more up top metal bands like Slayer, Megadeth, and Iron Maiden teaming up with breweries or distilleries to come out with their own signature line of alcohol. If Stryker ever got to that point, what kind of alcohol would it be, and what might the name of it be called?
Ooh. Well, we have had this discussion for many, many years. We have been working with Sea Change Brewery. Like I mentioned earlier, they are very kind to us, being very gracious enough to provide us with some delicious beer. And when we've been talking about it, we just call it, oh man, we need a Striker beer. So we've just been calling it Striker beer. Full beer or no beer, I don't know. It's probably have some kind of funny name in the end. We haven't thought of a good pun yet, but it'd probably be some kind of tasty beer. I don't even know. The creative minds at Sea Change have cooked up some very delicious beers in the past, and certainly have more ideas than my tiny brain will ever have for what kind of beer is going to be good.
Well, Tim, thank you so much for taking time out of your extremely busy schedule to do this interview. Is there anything else you'd like to say to the people that are going to be watching this on YouTube?
Well, thanks for checking out this interview, and hopefully we'll be hitting the road soon, and everybody wears masks, and we can clear this coronavirus up.
Here's hoping. And everyone, please get your pre-orders of the brand new Stryker t-shirts in the link below. I'll have their thing to the website because that's where you can find them. And yeah.
Awesome.
Awesome. And until next time, everyone, keep on thrashing. I'll stop.
So, yeah.